So there's a lot of supports in Honkai Star Rail. A lot of them have their different niches and such. And I kind of wanted to make a video talking about what I do think and what my favorite 3 supports are. I'm someone that has quite literally every single support and have used them so many times. And I wanted to make a dedicated video talking about them. Pretty much just going over my 3 favorites and also why. Because there is just so many supports nowadays. And I really just wanted to talk about every single one of them. A lot of them do unique things. A lot of them might do the same thing similar to others for a different niche. So many supports that you can use nowadays. And I love supports. A lot of them make a lot of characters I like using really fun. And because of that, I wanted to make a dedicated video to them. And because of that, we're going to be talking about them today. Support the channel by clicking on my link in the description and start your Raid Shadow Legends journey. You'll get an awesome legendary champ Elenaro right at the start alongside 3 awesome epics. Don't miss out on this great head start and click the link right now. Number 3 goes to Saridra. Despite not having too many characters to be ran with, and a lot of times it just ends up being something you could do for fun, I've actually used her so much on just some whack teams that I've managed to actually make her like a really fun support despite not being super big in priority to pull. But this is not really a who's better than the other list. This is more of my 3 favorite supports, and Saridra definitely gets the number 3 spot. The ability to duplicate a skill usage is really fun. One of my favorite DPSs in the game is Anaxa, which is funny enough one of her 2 best partners. And seeing 4 skill shots is, in my opinion, unmatched. Especially now with Cyrene, who's able to give Anaxa 3 instances of damage on his skill, which with Saridra becomes 4 whole total instances, which is just insane. Not only is the sound effects more beefy, but it's just so godlike. And then outside of Anaxa, dropping 2 meteors with Phynon is so nice. Figuring out teams with Emiya as well to get a second free arrow shot that doesn't consume any skill points is also really nice. And then a more unconventional team to make my Maide usage more fun, I did end up trying to figure ways to get double Godslayer frequently. And it actually is quite the adrenaline to see 2 Godslayers back to back, especially now again with Cyrene, who's able to give Maide more Godslayers with every buff she does put on him. Being able to see up to 3 Godslayers in a single instance is really damn fun. Of course, it's a bit iffy to set up because you do need to get 150 charge, which is kind of hard with the Cyrene team setup. But getting 150 charge, getting the Cyrene buff to proc a Godslayer, and then Saridra duplicating it, it is really cool. Saridra with teams like Face Shout is also really fun because sometimes I can just ignore the fact that she mainly duplicates skill but can also do some other cool stuff. Does definitely make her a lot more fun than she is put out to be. Again, really, just duplicating skill alone is super cool, but unfortunately not a big amount of DPSs can use it. Saridra's duplication of skill is definitely something I see getting more and more value over time. Because now anytime they release a DPS that does skill damage, Saridra's value is going to go up because she's able to let them do 2 instances of skill for the price of 1. But of course, until then, we can't really say much, but for actual usage-wise though, she is just incredibly fun. The instances of skill you can get is really cool. And if she does end up getting buffed in the future with the release of more skill DPS, then her value of being fun can maybe put her up to number 2 later on. But for now, I definitely do think I rank her as my number 3 favorite support. A big portion of what's carrying her is the fact that she does go on Nox's team, which is one of my 2 favorite DPSs, and then also Phynon's team, who is also one of my other favorite DPSs to use. Phynon isn't like up there, like top like 3 to 5, maybe like 6 or 7, I don't know, I have to think. If you comment a 6 and 7 joke, I'm hiding you from this channel. No questions, I don't care who you are. If you comment that damn joke, I am hiding you. Anyway, I don't know where Phynon does actually rank when it comes to my favorite DPSs, but Double Meteor is just so goddamn cool. I do wish her buffs were a little better though, but again, overall, I just think she's super fun to use. The instances clone of skill is just so goddamn cool. Once she gets more value with more characters releasing, I will be there. Number 2 has to go to Cyrene. This is mainly ranking her at E2+. Before E2, she probably wouldn't make this list. But at E2 and above, it's a lot of fun to figure out different combinations with her. Like, I don't think I've played the game so much since Evernight/Anaxa, which Evernight wasn't too long ago, Anaxa was a little bit ago. But I played the game so much when I did end up getting Cyrene to E2, figuring out teams of Chrysos heirs and maybe even non-Chrysos heirs. Even though her buff is pretty bad, you're able to offset it by running maybe 1 or 2 Chrysos heirs on a team. team, since their AoE buffs such as Chibi maybe doing an additional instance of damage, or Cypher providing more defense shred, there's ways to make the main DPS that isn't a Crisis Heir to do more, even though the buff they're getting is not that strong. On top of that, at E2 and above, her DPS potential is really damn good. Her enhanced basic attack still doesn't do too much unless everyone on the team is buffing her in a sense. But seeing the arrow shot do millions of damage is really cool. I do wish her actual dupes help more on her Blooms and Plume shot and not just Ode to Ego, since the gap between Ode to Ego doing damage vs just the regular Blooms and Plumes is actually insane. The damage difference is night and day. And I'm someone that now owns an E6 S1 Cyrene, so I do wish E4 or maybe even E6 did help with that. But unfortunately, the only help you're really getting is like the talent upgrades, which doesn't really increase it that much. Anyway, nonetheless, figuring out teams that work with or without Crisis Heirs is really fun. One of the biggest benefits to making her more fun to use for someone who has really invested in one like me at E6 is her E6 gives everyone another turn on the first cast on Cyrene's ult. So for the first ult, you literally just get Robin ult, and it's really fun to figure out things you can do. Rebuffing, just dumping out more damage, figuring out buffs to make her ult quicker because you're able to reapply the buff on the actual main DPS anyways. So much stuff you can do with the team-wide action advance. We all know how broken Robin is because of her team-wide action advance, and to this day her team-wide action advance is the reason she's super relevant. And now imagine Cyrene had that in like her base kit, because I know most people won't be able to imagine an E6 Cyrene, obviously. Imagine Cyrene's first ultimate cast gave everyone on the team their ultimate like it usually does, and another turn. You can imagine how insane that is. It is insanely fun. Again, rebuffing characters, trying to figure out how to get her into ultimate as fast as possible without running a bunch of Crisis Heirs or Remembrance characters. It's just really fun overall, just trying to figure out what weird stuff you can do, how you can make Cyrene do some stupid damage. And then on the Remembrance team itself, the Remembrance team is really fun when you do have all the pieces. The damage output is insane. Everyone's animations are super satisfying. Seeing little Ika do a bunch of damage is so stupid. Evernight, I already have talked about her enough. And then Castris, she is a lot more fun when you do have Hyacine making her actual function like a character. Not saying she's bad without Hyacine, but you know, you can imagine the difference with and without Hyacine. And if you don't know the difference, try it out. You'll see instantly. The entire Remembrance team together with now Evernight, Castris, Hyacine, and Cyrene is just a really broken and also a really fun team. But yeah, her, especially with Anoxa as well, those extra 3 instances of skill is so fun to use. Because of E6 providing 20% defense shred permanently, I did end up having to change my Anoxa build to take him off Genius. Because now, mostly when I do use him with Cyrene, and if he has some form of other defense ignore from supports, which he usually always does, he very easily, at least mine, gets over 100% defense ignore / shred with Genius, so Genius 4-piece became useless, so I ended up putting him on Scholar. Been reworking his build a lot, trying to get him to a base speed build, not a base speed build, but a speed build that gets to breakpoint speed with Ceredra's buff, and also attack boots for maximum damage. So you can get to breakpoint with just the Cerebra buff and also be running attack boots, because that's kind of the best setup you can do right now. Thankfully, Cyrene does have the Amphoria set, which does provide 8% speed. That does help out a lot. And Cyrene being a budget action advancer on that team is really nice. So all in all, Cyrene, trying to get her to work on non-Crisis Heir teams, trying to figure out how to get around the ultimate issue. It's really damn fun. And I honestly have no regrets, as I did go super deep. Already have videos talking about what happened for that, you can check it out. But yeah, she is just super fun. So Cyrene is definitely my second favorite support, which also technically is a DPS at the same time. For number 1, the bomber herself, Tribi. Tribi has been my favorite support ever since she did release, and she kind of just had that spot just because of the reason of how, not only how broken she is, but the fact that she can just slot in every single team. I had a field day when I got my Tribi, bro. Like, I used her with old DPS and slightly newer DPSs. The damage she made him do was just out of this world. And with every new release character, she just been getting more value and more value and more value, because E1 true damage, that is practically just something that's going to benefit everyone. As long as the person on the team got enough buffs to do good enough damage, if they were old especially, the E1 would be very noticeable. On top of all her insane buffs, she herself does really good damage. The follow-up attacks add up to a lot of damage. The ultimate hit itself does a good amount of damage, especially if you have other AoE buffers on the field that are giving her to do more damage as well. She just is everywhere. Like, no matter what team she goes on, she just ends up doing good. Obviously, she's not the best on like dot and break, But I don't give a shit about dot and break, so the fact that she goes with every team that I like is just insane. The only place where she really ends up not being a upgrade over the other option would be the Remembrance team, because now Cyrene exists. But before Cyrene, guess who it was? Tribby! She really just is an insane unit and still just remains my number one most favorite to use, cause the fact she's just so good. Her buffs, dude, all type rest pin, making enemies take more damage, both are universally insanely good. Doing damage herself, the additional damage from the zone will make anyone do more damage technically. And I have E1 and E2. E2 is an additional instance and also an increase from original damage, which further gets amplified if you do have Cyrene buffing her, since Cyrene makes the additional damage from the zone have another instance. And also lets Tribby ignore defense so she can do even more damage. The teams with Cyrene plus Tribby, the damage is off the charts, dude. Those two alone are just a zero cycle by themselves at this point. It's actually just insane how fun Tribby is, dude. The fact that she really just goes on every team and does good, is able to practically always be on the teams for making all DPS clear at a relatively good pace, is like just everywhere when it comes to a lot of good DPS setups. She really is just number one for the fact that she works everywhere and is everywhere at a well level. I don't even know if that's English, but, you know, at a good level, she's able to make everyone do good damage. Like, her buffs, regardless, no matter who the unit is going to be somewhat beneficial. And then with E1, as long as the DPS is doing good damage, that true damage proc is going to add on a lot of more damage. Tribby herself is constantly going to be doing really good damage throughout the battle that adds up. And I, as I mentioned, have E2, that original damage increase for the zone's additional damage, plus the extra instance adds up to a lot as well. This unit is absolutely just insane. I can't imagine a world where I didn't end up actually getting her, because I probably have used her more than every other unit that I have. I think in every half she is somewhere in there. I think the only one would be like a Plight run on Anomaly trying to get a zero cycle on Plight, but she probably can take Cyrene's spot and it would still work. I'd have to test that and find out. But again, Tribby is just such an insane unit that is quite literally just everywhere on like every half. The day she gets power crept is going to be scary. It's going to happen inevitably eventually, but even when she does, she's probably still going to be insanely good. But yeah, to this day, and I will continuously have Tribby as my number one spot until someone does her role, but better. Girl is literally just everywhere and constantly making my DPS inject steroids into themselves with how good her buffs are. At the same time, injecting steroids into herself, making herself do a lot of good damage. Like, what doesn't she do? The only thing she doesn't do is action advance your team, which technically can be offsetted somewhat if you just give her D to D, which she holds really well. So, like, really, what doesn't she do? I don't know, dude. Anyway, Tribby, number one favorite support. It is no question asked. Like, the gap between her and Cyrene is pretty big. But that does bring this video to a close, going over my personal 3 favorite DPS in the game. Ceredra, Cyrene, and Tribby. All just super fun supports for me to use. But comment down below who your favorite supports are as well. I'm curious to see if there's people that maybe like using Sunday, Robin still, maybe even Sparkle because of Emiya, and so on. If you did find this video enjoyable, dropping a like would be greatly appreciated. If you're new to the channel or haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and turn the bell icon for future videos like this along with all other tips throughout content. Check the description to join the Discord server and check out my Arknights channel. And once again, if you are interested whatsoever in Raid Shadow Legends, be sure to click the link in the description below, as it will give you a very strong start when creating your account and also supports the channel a little bit. Once again, if you are interested in the game whatsoever, feel free to do so. Anyway, I'll see you later. Peace out.